live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.
Benny Ricciardi is here to break down the day's betting board for you.
Let's go, Jerry. Go!
Taking a first look at the day's bets, it's time for the FTN Betting Show.
Welcome to the FTN Betscast for Monday, May 9th here at FTN Bets, sponsored by our friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players, and now you could win over on Sleeper by playing in their new over-under game too. It's really easy to play. First, in any sport, you're going to choose two or more players that you like and pick whether you think they're going to go over or under their listed total. So, for example, in basketball tonight, could be something like the number of points, the number of three-pointers, number of rebounds, assists, number of turnovers. Once you pick what you want and pick over or under, you're then going to choose an amount of money you want to enter into the contest. If you make your picks correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times your money all the way up to 20 times your money if you go 5 for 5 and get them all right. The main reason, though, I'm excited about the over-under game on Sleeper, it's the only app where I can join with my buddies in a contest and we could all play together. It has a built-in group chat where I could see what you're playing. You could see what I'm putting in. We could all see what the guy who's won every day this week is putting in our group. And then we could all tag along and play the same things. This way, we're all together. We're all rooting for the same things. And it's insanely fun when everybody is sweating the same games. So stop what you're doing and download the Sleeper app now to play in their new over-under game and have fun with your friends and make some money. Remember, use promo code FTNBets and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100, meaning you put in $100, you'll actually have $200 to play with. So again, download the Sleeper app, use promo code FTNBets when you deposit, put in that $100 and get the max bonus that's available. There are terms and conditions that apply. You can see Sleeper's terms of use for those details. Now, we're going to talk about some of the plays that we like to put into some of those over-unders on Sleeper today by going game by game and breaking down the NBA playoffs. We have 2 games going off tonight. The first one we're going to talk about is going to be the Boston Celtics going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. This is game 4 of this series. Milwaukee holds a 2-1 lead. They split the games in Boston. Milwaukee won the first game in Milwaukee, 103-101 in the last game there. They were up more than that. The Celtics made a little comeback at the end, but the Bucks had enough to hold them off. This game opened with Milwaukee as a 3-point favorite. It's down to -1 right now. -1, you could find some -1.5s juiced way up in the market, but -1 on DraftKings at -105 is the best price that's out there. That's where I would play it here today if you want to be on the Milwaukee side. As for the Celtics, +1.5 on the road for them. BetMGM -115, best price I could find on that side if you want to be betting on Boston here today. I think this is a very evenly matched series. I'm expecting this to go 6 or 7 games, and I really could see it just going back and forth throughout the entire series. I do think Milwaukee being at home is, the team that should be favored in this game. But I mean, we're literally talking about a coin flip. I think the first 2 games, they both traded beating each other by like 10 or 12 points. Game 3 came down to 1 bucket at the end, 103-101. I really don't want to play a side in this game. It's not something that I'm, all that interested in. I think the total in this game is a little interesting though, because let me walk you guys through this and you'll see why. So all 3 of the first 3 games in this series went under. We had 190 points, 195 points, and then last game was the highest scoring game of the series at 204, and that was an under as well. Yet when they opened the total at this game, they opened it at 209.5. And here's the thing. The over has actually been what's gotten bet so far, because right now in the market, 211.5 is the smallest number I can find if you want to bet an over now. And again, it opened at 209.5 when this first went up on the board. -108 over at WinBet. You can get the over 211.5. There's a couple other places that have 211.5 at -110. Some of them even have it up to 212 already, and some of them have it at 211.5 with like a -120 number on it. So, to get it at -108 on Win, I think is a pretty good bet if you want to ride the momentum. Because like I said, this opened, it's up about 2 points already in a series where we haven't had over 204 points scored in any of these games. So it's something that doesn't really make all that much sense to me. If you want to play the under on this game, 212.5 at FanDuel at -110. best price you could play it there. Like I said, there are some other 212s in the market, but they're juiced up. A lot of the other 212s.5 are juiced a little bit up from here, like minus 112, minus 114, minus 115 in that range there. But again, if you want to play the under on this game, which again, 190, 195, 204 is the total in the first 3 games here. Under 212 seems like it should be a pretty good bet here. There's just something fishy about this that's keeping it away from me. Like I said, it opened higher. It moved up even after the open. I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's something fishy here that's keeping me away from it. But if you do want to play it, I do think that the lean should be on the under at 212.5. FanDuel has the best price on it at minus 110. So now let's talk about some of the player prop over-unders that we can look at here. The one that I like the most on the sleeper app here today is going to be Al Horford over 8.5 rebounds. This is the best price we can find on the sports books for this is minus 120 on MGM. It's minus 140, though, at all the other books, which means, they're giving this like a 57, 58% implied probability at that minus 140 number there. So I do like this one quite a bit here today. Horford has had 10, 11, and 16 rebounds in the first 3 games of the series. Like I said, over 8.5 is what we need to cash, so we'll need to get him to 9. So he would have cashed on this number so far in all of the first 3 games. Here's the reason I like it, though. During the regular season, Al Horford averaged 30 minutes, and he averaged 8 rebounds per game. So, again, not a bad number there, getting 1 rebound every, 3.5 to 4 minutes, right? In the playoffs so far, though, in this series, 36, 37, and 39 minutes. So he's played an extra 6, 7, and 9 minutes in these 3 games. If he's averaging a rebound every 3.5 to 4 minutes, if you give him an extra 6 to 8 minutes, you should expect an extra 1 to 2 rebounds. Like I said, he averaged 8 during the regular season. That's how we've been getting the 9s and the 10s and the 11s that he's been having so far, including the big game of 16 that he had in the last time out. If Horford's going to play 35 to 40 minutes, which is basically what he's done in the first 3 games, he does project for over 9 rebounds here. And again, if he's playing closer to 39 minutes, he would project for a double-double and over 10 rebounds here. So I love the over 8.5 on the sleeper app. I think we got a lot of value in that one. One of my favorite plays of the day over at Sleeper HQ. Let's see, what else do we like here today? I like Jason Tatum to go under 28.5 points. His best game of the series, he had 29, and he was on fire that game. He shot 50% from the field. He was 10 of 20, shot 50% from three-point land. He had 5 out of 10 in that game, and he still only made it over 28.5 by half a point there. The other 2 games, I mean, again, it's not like Jason Tatum's going to get shut down again. He only had 10 points last game. I would not expect him to only have 10 points again in this game, but it does show you that they are concentrating on keeping the ball out of his hands and making him take tough shots. He did still jack up a lot of shots in that game. He just didn't hit many of them. Again, though, if we need him to shoot 50% from the field and 50% from 3 just to get over, just to have a chance to get over this number, that's not something I think he's going to do in more than maybe 1 or 2 games in this series. So I'm still comfortable with the under here. You could bet the under. Unibet has the best price, minus 112 on under 28.5 here. That's one that I'd like. I like this more on the sports books than I do on the sleeper app. Like I said, if you're looking on the sleeper app, that Al Horford one at, what would be minus 140 on the sports books is probably the one that has the best chance of cashing today. Let's see. One other thing I like in this game, we're going to go over to the Milwaukee side for this one. Giannis, I like Giannis, but his points number is pretty high. The guy who I think is a little bit undervalued right now is going to be Pat Connaughton. 9.5, over 9.5 points is what I like for him there. FanDuel and DraftKings have this at even money. That's where I would play it. I would play it at even money on one of the sports books before I played it on the sleeper app here today. The reason I like Pat Connaughton, right, is, he takes more half of his shots from 3. So really, we only need him to knock down a couple threes, but he'll get some 2s. He'll go to the basket. He'll finish a little bit as well. During the regular season, he averaged 25 points. He averaged 25 minutes a game, 9.8 points. So 9.8 points is already above the 9.5 we need here today. So just on his average game, he gets there. But what I really like is the fact that last game he played 33 minutes. And remember, a lot of the season when he was playing, he was also playing with Chris Middleton still in there, a guy who, did a lot of the scoring and took a lot of the shots. Without Middleton in there, they're looking for guys that could take those shots. And, Pat Connaughton is one of those guys that has stepped up and been able to kind of add that to, to what he can offer for this team here. Again, if he's going to play into the 30-minute range, then I like him to get over 10 points a lot. Even if he only plays 25, which is what he played in the second game, that still puts him right on pace to, basically get around the points that we're looking for here for him. So Pat Connaughton, the other play that I like here, even money, FanDuel and DraftKings to go over 9.5 points here today. Another one that I'm making, a little bit of a wager on the sports books. So now I want to move on and talk about the other game here, the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Golden State Warriors. So first thing we have to talk about here, Ja Morant getting hurt at the end of last game. It looks like Ja Morant is not going to be there. And before everybody goes nuts and goes crazy, oh my God, the series is over, just remember that this Grizzlies team played about 25 games already this year without Ja Morant, and they were 20-5 in those games. So I'm not saying Ja Morant is a detriment to this team. That is definitely not what I want to say here. But we have seen this team be able to win games without him, including a win that they have over the Golden State Warriors already this year without Ja Morant. So I don't think this is really the end of the line for them. Guys like DeAnthony Melton and Tyus Jones stepped up during the season when Ja was out. Tyus Jones especially went from like 17 minutes a game to 30 minutes a game in a game that Ja was out, and basically doubled his output from, 6 points and 3 assists in 17 minutes of action during the season with Ja to 30 minutes, 12 points, and 6 assists in the games that they played without Ja Morant this year. So, I think that they're going to be able to still be a pretty good team here. And we'll get to why that's important in a second. Guys like Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., all of these guys average 2 or more points per game higher without Ja Morant in there. So it's not going to be that they're going to rely on, the backcourt guys to pick up all of the slack for not having Ja Morant there. Everybody's going to get a little bit of a bump to, probably their minutes, their field goal attempts, the amount of times they touch the ball. So it should be a good above average game for almost all of the other guys on the Memphis Grizzlies. And we see that in a lot of the props, right? Like a lot of the props for these guys, it's not a lot, but it's a couple points higher than what we had seen in recent games when Ja was in there. So again, the books understand this, the bettors understand this, the adjustments have already been made, which is probably why I don't have a lot of stuff on the Grizzlies side that I'm really looking at here in the player props. And that's if you can even find player props. Like Sleeper doesn't have any player props up for this game. Some of the books only have, limited like 2 or 3 of the guys up there. A lot of times it's Brooks, Bane, and Jaren Jackson are the only ones that are up there. I think we'll get more props added throughout the day. As we get a little more information and the John news becomes a little more, solidified, we'll start seeing the books and the apps put up, some stuff on this Grizzly side. Because right now it's tough to find. You really don't have anything on the Grizzlies that you can go off of. There were very few props that I could even look at in order to talk to you guys about. And like I said, I didn't really like any of them. So let's see. The next thing I want to talk about here, let's go and talk about the spread on this game a little bit here. Like, yes, I understand Golden State is at home. You could argue that Golden State is the better of the two teams now that everybody's healthy. A lot of people have made that argument, including a lot of bettors, as Golden State was the favorite to win this series when it started. With that being said, though, I mean, we're up to Golden State -10 on DraftKings and Caesars today at -110. That's a big number there. I mean, you could get Memphis, let's see, plus 10.5, -114 on Bet Rivers and Sugar House is the best place to play them. I actually would rather be on the Memphis side at plus 10.5. Again, this team was 20-5 in the regular season without Ja Morant. I'm not saying that they're better without him. I'm just saying it might be a little bit of an overreaction to think that, oh my God, Ja Morant's out. The Memphis have no chance. The Grizzlies have no chance right now. That is absolutely not the case based on what we have seen during the year. They do average a few less points. They also play a little bit slower, so they're giving up a few less points. I really don't think, again, I think they're better off with Ja, but I really think people are overreacting to this a little bit. So I like Memphis plus 10.5, -114, Bet Rivers and Sugar House. You can get over there and play that number there. I think that's a good number to play. The number that I don't want to touch today, because I have no idea what's going to happen with it, is going to be the total in this game. Again, we talked about this before the series started, that, we were probably looking somewhere in the mid to high 220s here. Again, we had a couple games that went into the 230s and went over. Really, these were actually two of the better defensive teams during the regular season. I mean, these were two teams that had, top tier defenses during the season here. I didn't think that they would be giving up as many points as they have to each other, but they're also playing this series very fast. Now, again, this is why I don't want to touch this number now. Without Ja, they have played slower during the regular season. Does that continue here? Are the Warriors going to be able to push that pace for him? I mean, the Warriors are basically playing without both teams are basically playing without big men right now. So it's not like we can go apples to apples with, when they had some of their bigs, the Steven Adams and, the Kevon Looney was playing a bunch of minutes and all that stuff. So I do think the over is still in play, but like I said, I am so conflicted on it right now that I don't want to put a bet on either side. If I'm betting anything here on the side in the total, give me Memphis plus 10.5. That's the way I think to go. If I think it's going to be a slower game anyway, then maybe the score is a little bit lower. So that 10.5 might even be a little bit more valuable to me, the fact that I'm getting such a big number. So let's see. What else can we talk about here? It opened at 227 the total. It's down to 224. FanDuel has it minus 110 if you want to play it there. If you want to play an over there, if you want to play the under 224.5, you can get that on WinBet at minus 108. There's a couple other 224.5s at minus 110. WinBet always does that. They go like a point or two below the market just so, any of these sites that have something that just pops up the best number, they want to be the one that pops up there for people to click on. So interesting thing that they do there. It's pretty smart actually on their part. So shout out to WinBet for that. All right, so let's talk about the player prop market. We do have one over-under is all I'm really looking at in this game, and that's going to be Jordan Poole over 20.5 points. This is minus 110 on FanDuel. It's minus 125 on Sleeper. I'm sorry, on Caesars, and it is available at 20.5 on the Sleeper app. So during this series, he's already averaged 26 points per game. Again, we need him to get 21 to go over here. The thing I like, though, you guys know these are the two things I always talk about is whether or not those points are sustainable. And I think in Jordan Poole's case, it is. He's taken 16, 17, and 20 field goal attempts in the 3 games that he's played. He's played 31, 34, and 38 minutes. During the regular season, he averaged 30 minutes, 14 field goal attempts, and 18.9 points. So far in this series, he's averaging 34 minutes, so 4 more minutes, 18 field goal attempts, so 4 more there, and 26 points per game there. So again, as long as the minutes are a little higher and the field goal attempts are a little higher, that means he's out there on the floor more often and he's being more aggressive, taking more shots. I don't mind paying a little bit of a higher number here. So I do like the 20.5 number that we have here on Jordan Poole. I would play this over on the Sleeper app as well as over at FanDuel at minus 110 here. So that's going to bring me to my Sleeper app play of the day. Remember, you get over to Sleeper, you go down in the description of this podcast, you can see the way to get over there and join the over-under game that we have going on, join in our group so that you can, see all the chatter and what everybody's playing here today. Use promo code FTNBets when you make your first deposit. If you deposit up to $100, they'll match any number up to $100, but I recommend depositing $100 because you want to get that maximum bonus there. You deposit $100, they will match it. You'll have $200 to play with. And here's the way I would do it today. I like Al Horford over 8.5 rebounds in the first game and Jordan Poole over 20.5 points in the second game. You put those two things together there over on the Sleeper app. You put in $100, they give you another 100. You put it in on those two on a 2-person play. You get into that contest right there. If you hit on both of them, you will get a $600 return for doing that. So you put in 100, you get back 600. That's plus 500 odds that you're getting there. Go over to any sports book right now. Take the Al Horford over rebounds. Take the Jordan Poole over points. Parlay those two things together, and your payout is going to be like $330 or so. So it's much better to go over to Sleeper and get the plus 500 payout, be able to get the $600 for $100 invested rather than the $330 for $100 invested that you would get on a DraftKings, a FanDuel, or a BetMGM or something. So definitely make sure you guys get over there and sign up. That is going to be our Sleeper play of the day. Al Horford over 8.5 rebounds, Jordan Poole over 20.5 points. This is Benny Ricciardi signing off for the FTN Bets cast here at FTN Bets, sponsored by our good friends at Sleeper. Good luck tonight, everybody.
Live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.